I want you to meet a very special man now then on this Armistice Day. He's Tom Van Canel. He's a very interesting bloke, there's no doubt about that, and I think you're going to enjoy listening to him as well. Let me set the scene for you, it's all I can do. He lives in Freeland, near Witney. He's a retired American soldier. He's been living in England since 1997. Used to work for Oxfordshire County Council. He's a consultant and coach for businesses. He's also a fundraiser, campaigner. Oh, he plays the piano as well at the Churchill on a Wednesday. Very good at it. And he's something of a bionic man as well, having had to be pinned back together after a terrible cycling accident in the Pyrenees about 2 years ago. He's here to tell us about his plans to cycle from Brize Norton to Heathrow, fly to America and then cycle across the States and then back to the Brize Repatriation Centre in what he's calling his Sea2Sea Challenge 2012. It's happening next year. It's happening in 161 days. We have the paparazzi here as well, so don't worry if you... There goes another one. Don't worry if you hear a click. It's all part of the fun. Tom, what an honour meeting you today.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. It's an honour to be here, especially on Remembrance Day.
Yes, absolutely. Tell me about your life as a serviceman first. I think we should start there.
I had my first career was as a serviceman from 1973 to 1977. I was a cadet at the United States Military Academy at West Point, which is the military academy of the United States. And then I was an infantry officer for 20 years, and my last tour of duty was a strategic planner for humanitarian activities in sub-Saharan Africa, where we helped African countries with democratization programs. We also did medical exercises as well as refugee programs, most specifically helping the victims or the refugees after the Rwanda genocide. So I've been planning, been an Army planner really for most of my Army career.
Yes, and was it a positive experience, your time in the U.S. Army?
Absolutely positive. The thing that really was so positive for me was finding the different cultures, and you might know that I have a British connection. I remember very early in my military career being instructed by a British major at West Point, and he was a no-nonsense type of person, but he had that sense of humor that is really unique to the British soldier. And then I also served 3 years with British Army of the Rhine, or rather the NATO headquarters, which was the Northern Army Group, and I became friends with several British soldiers and their families. So I've got very deep connections with the British military.
Yes. So how important is Armistice Day to you, Tom, and Remembrance Sunday as well?
It is the only holiday that the U.S. and Great Britain share that's a secular holiday. In America, it is Veterans Day, and of course, you know, it's Remembrance Day today. It's particularly poignant for me today because we launched our charity, or applying for the charity status, at 11 o'clock. The website was turned on at 11 o'clock, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year of this millennium. Very poignant for me because I have a number of family members as well as friends who have served in the military or are serving in the military. Some that are no longer with us, but in one sense, but we always have them in our hearts. So it's a very, very special day for me.
So the website's up and running. Tell us about the Sea2Sea Challenge. 161 days to go, you've just told me.
Yes, it is. We came up with this idea of how can we raise the awareness of the British and the American military in the eyes of the American and the British people. And I was over here having been over here since 1997. I was here for 9/11, and I was struck by the depth of emotion and support that the British people showed us after 9/11. I was telling someone earlier this morning I went to RAF Croughton on the 12th of November 2001 because I had friends in the Pentagon when it was attacked, and I wanted to find the casualty list. I had difficulty getting in the front gate of Croughton because of the garlands of flowers and messages left by the British people outside the gate, and I still get a little bit choked up about that. And throughout this whole ordeal, the British people have really shown solidarity with their soldiers, and the Americans have shown solidarity with their soldiers as well. And I thought, what a great idea to help raise the awareness of how the British and American people can give back to the soldiers. And this has come about in the Sea2Sea challenge. Bryce Norton to Bryce Norton.
Yes. How, Bryce Norton to Bryce Norton?
Well, how? We're going to set off on the 21st of April. We're going to cycle from Bryce Norton, taking on, going through a number of British barracks, and we will end up at London Heathrow Airport. Sadly, there's not a bridge from Great Britain to America. I think I might give it a go, but I'll give it a miss this time. And we're going to fly over to Seattle, Washington, take 2 days break, and then we're going to go to, we will be transported out to the west coast to Kapalas Beach, which is about 90 miles west on the west coast, dip our wheels in the Pacific Ocean, and we will push off to the east to go from the west coast to the east coast, ending up in Washington, D.C., sunrise on the 4th of July.
How many miles? How long will it take there and back?
A little over 4,000. And it's going to take about 77 days. And we thought about how, you know, we could pare it down a little bit, but what we want to do is we have a motto, and the motto is giving back to those who served, and we have a set of criteria that we want. We want the ride to be inclusive. We want it to be memorable, life-changing, positive, and fun. And for that to happen, we need to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to participate in any form that they feel that would work for them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be cycling. It can also be supporting the ride, waving to us as we go from town to town. We're going to have people that will shepherd us into towns and wave goodbye to us when we leave the town. So that's why we're taking so much time, because it's an important thing.
4,000 miles on a bike, Sea2Sea. Now, when I mention Sea2Sea, I want you to imagine it as sea, S-E-A, as in the water, to the number C, the water. Okay, Sea2Sea. That's what this is all about. It's taking place next year. It's 161 days and counting. How will you train? Are you fit enough, Tom? You look fit to me. You look as fit as a freshwater trout, don't get me wrong. But are you ready for 4,000 miles cycling from Bryce to Washington and back?
I'm not fit enough yet. I am so appearances can be deceiving, Malcolm. Just to let you know that I have a personal trainer that got me over the Alps, and I've been through 6 personal trainers or physiotherapists. Finally stuck with one that said, "Look, I think I can get you over the Alps from Bern to Lugano." He did that this past year. So what he's done is he's come up with a training program that's going to build my strength, and then we're going to do cross training for 2 to 3 months, and then I'll push off on the 21st of April. So I'm not fit yet, but I will be.
There's a twist to this story as well, because you've been patched together, you've been pinned together. You're Oxfordshire's bionic man after a terrible cycling accident in the Pyrenees. Take me back to that incident, if you can.
It was on the 16th of September. I was going down the Col de Bisque, and it was a freak accident. Nothing more than that. I wish I could blame it on another car or a lorry. I can't. I can only blame it on a rock that hit the rear wheel that hit the rock, and it flipped up the bike at a 90-degree angle, and it was a high impact. Although I was not going fast, it was classified as a high-impact injury. The first point of contact that my body hit when it hit the mountain road was the left eye socket. I had a helmet on and glasses, luckily. It broke my left eye socket, grazed the left side of my face, loosened a couple of teeth. But the main point of impact was my left hip. It dislocated my left hip, and the left hip acted as a battering ram, which shattered my left pelvis, my acetabulum. And it looked like sometimes you see a Ming vase that's been recreated, that's been shattered. It was a shattered. There were a number of pieces that were shattered, and they called it a seagull pattern because it resembles a flock of seagulls in flight, and it has a very high rate of failure in terms of it being healed. I was medevac to Lourdes Hospital for 5 days.
Yes.
The first thing that I want to say is the person that rescued me called the ambulance was an ex-British soldier. So once again, that's the British connection. I was medevaced after 5 days at Lourdes Hospital to Landstuhl Military Hospital in Germany, where it is a world-class trauma ward. And it's got to be, because it served as the first point from troops that were injured from Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was in a trauma ward with those injured soldiers from Iraq and Afghanistan for 2.5 weeks.
And slowly and steadily you began to recover. apart from the hip, you smashed your eye socket?
Yes. Yes, I did.
How was that repaired?
Well, what they do is they say, well, we really can't put we can't put a cast around your head, although some people would probably want to do that for me. But it is simply it's an immovable fracture where unless it is displaced, they just keep it they keep it as it is. And that really, Malcolm, that was the least of my worries. The biggest challenge, I think, was the dislocated hip and the fractured acetabulum, because I had the first accident. I'm sorry, the first operation 9 hours. They put a bunch of bolts and screws in. Unfortunately, an incident about 10 days later caused the hip to dislocate again and reshatter the acetabulum, and that's when I was transferred to a German hospital for a second operation. And during that time, I was found to have a blood clot under my right knee. But there was a good story. A good story behind that was the U.S. surgeons. They really learned a lot, because they find out for this type of injury to put in a filter as a prophylactic measure to prevent the blood clot from going up to the lungs or the brain. And that happened for me, so that was really good.
Was there a point where you thought you wouldn't walk again?
Yes. Yes, there were a couple of points where I thought I would not walk. I would not walk again, or at least not walk properly again. There were a couple of, and in fact, in Lourdes, the doctor said if I did not get out of the hospital within the next 2 days, then there would be a very good chance I would not be able to walk again, because they would have to keep me in the hospital for 3 or 4 months. The problem was they did not have the facilities or the expertise for dealing with this kind of injury. And I always like to say that the grace of God came in the form of a U.S. Air Force major that I was able to get in contact with, who arranged for a medevac flight from Lourdes to Landstuhl Regional Hospital, and that was the start of my recovery.
Yes, amazing stuff. So even more amazing then that you're going to take on this challenge. If people want to help, I mean, it's about raising awareness. It's also about raising money. How much do you think you can raise with this, Tom?
Well, I've always told my son, you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon. And I think that before I was saying $2 million and £1 million, but after a couple of months ago, I saw a clip in the States where they raised $4 million for orphans over a 2-week period. And I am now saying $10 million and £5 million. And what I'd like to do, I want to emphasize that our Sea2Sea organization website will have all the other military and veteran websites associated with it, linked to our website. So we're not going to be in any competition with any other website. I'll be over the moon when we get $10 million and £5 million that are distributed to those military charities like Help for Heroes, British Legion, Army Benevolent Fund, Wounded Warriors, Paralyzed Veterans of America, and none comes from me.
£5 million?
Yes, absolutely.
You're very serious when you say that to me.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am. Yeah.
£5 million. The website's up and running. It was switched on today.
Switched on today at 11 o'clock, and the nice thing about the charity is we have people from all walks of life that are helping us. We have an 18-year-old and soon-to-be 19-year-old person that's putting the website together, so please bear with us in terms of spelling mistakes. I'm helping improve it. We have our photographer you hear clicking in the background that was an ex-soldier in Germany from 1970 to 73. We have people that have never been associated with the military, but they want to participate. We have people that want to cycle 1 mile or 5 miles or 10 miles. So we welcome all help. And I just want to emphasize, Malcolm, we're completely apolitical. All we want to do is show how we support the troops. And I want to increase this bond between the U.S. and the UK service men, women, veterans, and their families, because they're just doing an absolutely super job.
C2, the number 2, C2C.org. Go and have a look at it now, and we'll follow your progress, Tom.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for coming onto the show this Armistice Day. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best this very special day.
We'll be following Tom's progress as he gets ready, 161 days and counting, for an incredible challenge from an incredible person. It's called the Sea2Sea Challenge. C2C.org if you want to find out any more. I think he'll do it as well. I know he will.